correct? All right, does anybody have any questions with the formulas, correct? All right, so now just briefly, all right, I hope we can get through this really quick because I really would like to do 210-2. All right, so the answer for number one is area equals what?
400.
No, but I know it's going to be base times height, correct? So I need somebody to help me with the base. What's the base? 18 times what? 18 times 16, correct? Oh. Okay, I must have put the wrong one in there.
I have 10.
Who has? I may have given out. Okay. So let me just pause the video real quick. I'm sorry about that. I kind of now. Sorry for the delay. So we have now number one, 18 times 16. Help me out. 288. All right. And then we're going to say feet squared, right? Anybody have any issues? Okay. So just to make sure everybody knows, number two is specifically called a what? What is two called? The shape. It's called a rhombus. All right. All sides are the same. All right. So now using the 30, 60, 90, David, tell me.
But I'm supposed to find the perimeter and the area.
Oh, yeah, we are supposed to find the perimeter and the area. Thank you very much for that information. All right. So again, thank you, David. Perimeter is add all the sides. All right. So again, I need to figure out what this is right here. All right. And again, some of you still need to practice with the square roots. All right. That was not something I was very happy with. All right. So with that being said, there's a common what? 8, right? So I really, if you can't do this, tell me. Everybody should be able to look at that and say, that's just 8 radical 5. Does everybody agree? Because this is 8 times 1. This is 8 times 2. What's 1 squared plus 2 squared? 5. So that's the square root of 5. Do we agree? Come on now, please don't sit there. If you would say, please just show me, I don't mind. What?
Please just show me.
Yeah, look, it's just 1 squared plus 2 squared equals c squared.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. All right, and then you're just multiplying it by a factor of 8. All right, so now the exact perimeter, everybody should be able to say is 36 plus 16 radical 5. Is everybody okay with that? And of course, we'd call that feet. We'd call that feet. Anybody have any issues with that? Anybody?
Why is that feet and the other one's feet squared?
Area. You measure area with what? Squares. Do you remember this? Right. So whenever you measure, for example, if this was a rectangle that was 2 by 3, there would have what? 6 squares in it. Right. You measure area with squares. You measure length. All right. Area is 2 dimensionals. Right. 2 dimensions. Length is 1 dimension. You're measuring around. That's just a length. Volume is what? 3 dimensions. So you measure volume with cubes. All right. I know it's been a while since pre-algebra. Okay. So I understand your questions. All right. Now, with that being said, all right, we should be able to now move on. Does anybody have any questions with adding this perimeter up? 18 plus 18, correct? 8 radical 5 and 8 radical 5 is 16 radical 5. All right, so this is a rhombus. Do we agree? Right, so because it's a rhombus, the perimeter is just what?
96.
How did you get that?
24 times 4.
24 times 4. Very good, 96 inches. All right, so now come on. Some of you guys still were struggling a little bit yesterday. So this length is 24. So what's this length right here? 12. So what's this length right here? 12 radical 3. Everybody's good with that? So now the formula for area is again base times height. So what's the base? And what's the height? All right, so my area, I believe, is like 288 radical 3 inches squared. Anybody have any issues with that? What?
So wouldn't that like inches squared like cancel out the radical 3? Because
This is a unit that we're measuring.
oh, okay.
All right, we're not squaring square root of 3. Sebastian, quick.
How should you 24 times 12 so fast?
I did 12 times 12 is 144 times 2. Good question. All right. You're always trying to break the numbers down to easy multiples. All right. Very good question. All right, here we go. Let's look at number 3. All right. So that's just a what? Square. So 1.6 times 4 or 16 times 4 is 64, right? But let's put the decimal in the right spot now. So it would be 6.4 centimeters. And of course, 16 times 16, we all know is 256. So let's put our decimal in the right spot. That would be what? 2.56 centimeters squared. All right. Anybody have any questions? Anybody? Anybody? All right. Skip 4. Well, let's not skip. Yeah, we could definitely skip number 4. Right. Part of the reason why I'm saying we can skip it is I thought we are going to have to use Pythagorean theorem to find something, but do we have to use it at all? No, the area is going to be just what? Well, I might as well just do it now since I'm talking. How much? Yeah, 160. Wow. 160 inches squared, and the perimeter is just 60 inches. All right. I'm feeling pretty good about that. Okay, over here, now we notice this angle over here must have been 45 degrees, correct? So if the hypotenuse is 15, the height would be what? Come on. 7.5 radical 2 is okay, but I'd prefer you just say 15 divided by radical 2 to start out. And then when you rationalize, once you see the pattern, you'll be able to recognize, like Walt. All right, it's just half of 15 times square root of 2. All right, when you rationalize, it becomes 15 radical 2 over 2. That's the height. Come on now, don't just write it down. All right, don't just write it down. Think about it. We went from the long leg or from the hypotenuse to the leg, divide by radical 2. All right. So obviously now the perimeter is just what? Perimeter is what, guys? 90. All right. And area is equal to
450 radical 2 over 2.
Isn't 450 divided by 2, 225? Right. It's all right. All right. I'm not sure if some of you are just pushing your pencil, writing down my answers. That was not helpful on the last test. All right. Yes, sir.
Why'd you divide by 2?
Because the area is base times height, right?
Yeah.
So it's 30 times 15 radical 2 over 2. You see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
And I just did that's 15, and 15 times 15 is 225. Job. All right, 6 is embarrassingly easy. All right, I'll do a couple of these with you. All right. Perimeter and area of each triangle. All right, so what's the height of the shaded triangle, someone? 4, beautiful. All right. Is there anything common with 15 and 4? No, right? So now, come on. The hypotenuse, just write down square roots. What's 15 squared? What's 4 squared? 225 plus 16. Square root of 241. Now we already know that's not a perfect square because 415 is not a triple. Do we agree with that? All right, so just leave it as square root of 241. So the perimeter would be what? The perimeter of the gray. Remember, that's the triangle they're talking about. Come on now, everybody's got to be able to tell me that. So when you go to high school and they start asking about adding radicals with rationals, all right, you know what to do. And so now we would say centimeters, and now my area is what? How much? 30 centimeters squared. Does anybody need any help with that? All right, I feel like I'm just. All right, anybody? Nobody? Go. Half base times height, right? Now, the thing that causes a lot of problems is, look, please, everybody look up. Does this have anything to do with the area of the shaded triangle? No. You understand me now, right? So we're just looking at the 4 and the 15. I used to tell my pre-algebra kids, since I didn't have you for pre-algebra, is that the right triangle or the right angle points to the base and the height, if you forgot that. All right, that always points to the base and height. All right. So down here, all right, to find the perimeter, more practice. Now, how many times we're going to have 8 and 16 to find the hypotenuse? What's common? So we know that's 8 radical what? 5. Correct? Come on, some of you guys are still sleeping. Because remember, this is 8 times 1, that's 8 times 2. So this is 8 times Pythagorean theorem with 1 and 2. 1 squared and 2 squared. Do you agree with me or not? Yeah. Are you sure? Yeah, come on, just because I explained it, you can say, oh, that didn't help me. All right. You can say that. I can go slower. Yeah, come on, you guys, that's the only way you're going to learn. All right. Do you agree? This is 8 times 2. So I'm doing the Pythagorean theorem with 2 and 1. 2 squared plus 1 squared equals c squared. Now, see, better. Okay. Come on, I say things quickly because sometimes you just need that, you know, refreshed. All right, so now we're going to say the perimeter is what? 56 plus 8 radical 5 feet. All right, now here's the area problem. Area, what's the base? And what's the height? Beautiful. All right, if you don't understand the base and the height, let me know. Everybody agree? Sometimes the height of the triangle is on the outside of the triangle. All right, because why? Because there is no perpendicular distance on from here to here. There's no perpendicular. So they figured out, wow, the perpendicular must be outside. All right. So 16 is the height and 22 is the base. So obviously half of 22 times 11 is 176 square feet. Everybody good with that information? Everybody's good? All right. What?
Does it matter which one you take half from?
What's half of 16?
8.
8 times 22. right? You could do your own experiment on that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like do half of 16 times 22. It's the same thing. Why is it the same thing? Because you know the commutative property of multiplication says it doesn't matter what order you multiply, you're going to get the same answer.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm.
So let's find something more troubling. I see nothing difficult. I want exact answers, not rounding. All right, is everybody with me on that? All right, let's come down here. All right, let's try 19, please. Let's go to the word problems. That's where the issue is. All right, the height of a parallelogram is 5 more than its base. The area is 204. Find the base and the height. All right, so now here is our word problem. Formula is area equals base times height, correct? Right, but it says that the height is 5 more than the base, which means base plus 5, correct? Now I can just plug the information in. What is the area again? So 204 is equal to base times base plus 5. All right, now I cannot emphasize to you the importance of this. All right, this is what you're going to be tested for when you get accepted to Jesuit and to Berkeley. They're going to sit you down and you're going to have to take an algebra test. You don't want to bomb the algebra test because they will put you back in what? Algebra. That's right. Some of you may be pre-algebra, yeah. All right. Some of you, all right. But we'll find out. All right, here we go. Distribute, what do we get? B squared plus 5b equals what? I got you. Now it's a quadratic. We call it a quadratic because it's to the second power. So when you're solving a quadratic, everything must be set equal to 0. So b squared plus 5b minus 204 equals 0. Now the question is, does this thing factor? All right. Now, I know some of you guys don't know what the factors of 204 make 5, so let's pretend we don't know. All right. So what we want to do is we just want to break it down into its factors. What goes into 204 right off the bat? I would say 4. All right, because I know 4 goes into 25 times and 4 goes into 4, 1. Does everybody agree with that? Now, most people find this tricky. 51 is what?
17.
Yes. Now, if you're not sure about that, 5 plus 1 is 6. So I knew it was divisible by what number? 3. So then you just divide that by 3 and you see it's 3 times 17. Now I can group the 4 and the 3 together. 4 times 3 is what? So now I know 204 is 12 times 17. And then you can see those two factors make the 5. So it's going to be B what and B what?
Plus 17.
B plus 17 and B minus 12. So then equals 0. So B is equal to either negative 17 or B is equal to 12. Does everybody agree with that? Now, can your base be negative? No, so that's called your extraneous solution. So if your base is 12, that means your height had to be what? Yes. So your base is equal to 12 feet and your height was equal to what? 17 feet. Now, come on, that is a really important review. All right, that's a really important problem there, guys. Bless you. Anybody have any issues with that? Sebastian, what, bud?
You get the 12.
I don't know what you mean. How
You get 12 and do.
like I multiplied the 4 and the 3 together to get 12.
Wow.
Well, because I knew I was looking for the factors of 204 that were equal to 5. So 4 times 3 was 12. 12 times 17 is 204. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
And the difference between those two factors is 5. So that was going to help me factor the problem. That didn't help. Okay, so let me say it one more time. All right, if I said, what are the factors of 204? Most people don't know it's 12 times 17. Do you agree with this? Did you know it was 12 times 17? Nor did I, because I don't even care. All right. That's not important. The important part is that you're able to take 204 and break it down to its factors. So I immediately saw 20 and 4, and I realized 4 had to go into both those numbers. So then I realized 4 times 51 is 204. Do you agree with that? So then I broke down 51 to 3 times 17. So I know that 4 times 3 times 17 is 204. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
So if 4 times 3 times 17 is 204, that means 12 times 17 is also 204.
Okay.
And then 12 and 17 makes 5. All right, thank you. All right, the height of a parallelogram is 3 times the base. So H equals 3B. What's the formula for area of a parallelogram? Area equals base times height. What was our area? So 972 equals base times 3B. So 972 equals 3B squared, and then solve that. All right, go ahead and solve that. Not now, tonight. 21 is very similar. All right, so let's take a quick look at 22. Come on, guys, stay with me. 22. All right. It says a rectangular poster measures 42 by 26. A frame shot fitted the poster with a 1/2 inch matte border. Find the area of the poster. Well, the area of the poster is easy, right? Somebody tell me what the area of the poster is. Now, come on, you guys. Some of you are sitting here, the same people do the same work, and you just sit here. All right, don't have a calculator out. I said, what's the area of the poster? And everybody should be click, 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 click. And then someone tell me the answer who doesn't always do all the work. Thank you. 1092 inches squared. Put that down properly, please. You identify the units as you're writing. That will help you in the future. Okay, so now I have a problem. How do I find the area of the border? How do I find the area of the border? So let's just draw this quick little picture. You don't have to draw it if you don't want, but you can kind of see my point. All right, hopefully. All right, I just drew a what? 1/2 inch border. Does everybody agree? Now, this right here is 42 inches. And the other one is what? 26 inches, correct? So that means, someone help me now, please. That means this length here is how much? Anybody agree with 27? Somebody said 26.5. But we know it's 27 because there's a 1/2 inch on what? On both sides. This is a common SAT question. All right. And then the width of this guy down here then would be what? 43. All right. So how do I find the area of the border? What am I going to do? Yeah, so we could say 43 times 27 would be the area of the poster and the mat. So then we subtract out the area of the poster, and that would give me the area of the border. All right, this is what we're interested in. All right, does anybody understand or not understand area of shaded region? The area of a shaded region is always the area of the big minus the area of the what? Small. That's how easy shaded region is. All right, so somebody help me. What was that answer?
69.
All right, so we have 69 square inches. All right, now let's just say you had this right here, graphed. All right, that is a triangle, correct? The question is, how do we find the area of that thing? How do I calculate the area? Tell me, I'm listening. How is slope gonna help me?
The, you can do a squared plus b squared.
Somebody else? Tell them, Walt.
You distance one?
You know, that's not a bad idea. We could find the distances of AB, we can find the distance BC, we can find the distance AC, then we can calculate the angle between two of those. All right, using the law of cosines, if we want, right? And I'm agreeing with you. All right, but there's a really much simpler way. All right, anybody thinking about it? What else could I try, Walt?
Like count how many boxes there are.
Well, you could actually count how many boxes there are. I wouldn't argue with that. All right. And you could break all of them down into what, though? If you wanted to, you just break them down into different triangles. Right? Like for me, the first thing I noticed when I was looking at this is whenever they say there's a challenge, there just must be something special. So if I drew this from here to here, I have triangle number 1, and on the bottom I have triangle number what? 2. So I see that you're allowed to divide them up. So what's the base of the top triangle? 5. What's the height of the top triangle? 3. Is everybody with me on this now? All right. Because you're with me on this, now I'm sure you can tell me the dimensions of the bottom triangle. What are the dimensions of the bottom triangle? Wow. And then we're going to do what to those things? Add them together. So a half 5 times 3 plus a half 5 times 3 is just what? A full 5 times 3. That's what I'm hoping you can see. Half of 5 times 3 plus half 5 times 3. You shouldn't be doing this on a calculator. I'm trying to get you to think about numbers a little bit differently. A half of 5 times 3 plus a half of 5 times 3 is a whole 5 times 3. Does everybody see that? So of course we know the area now is what? 15, and we would just say units squared. All right. Yeah, we just explained it. Just listen to the video. All right, now we got some problems here. All right, find the perimeter and area. So now the 24 is kind of easy. Do we agree? Because that's just a diagonal. Diagonal is 2, radical 2. So what's the side length? All right. So I don't have to say anything more about that. Okay, however, question number 25 is a little bit more challenging because we must remember our trig. So they agree with me? Come on now. This angle is 62 degrees. I'm missing this side. Come on, step up. All right. Somebody else who hasn't said anything. How do I calculate what x is? Oliver, tell us. Thank you so much. Come on. That's called thinking. Tangent 62 equals what? 3 over x. And because we are brilliant, we can just say x is equal to 3 divided by tangent 62, and we'll round that to 3 decimal places. Help me out. How much?
1.595.
1.595. So if I want the perimeter, somebody tell me what the perimeter would be to 3 decimal places. One, that's where you should be using your calculator. 6.380 what? Is that not right?
9.1.
Thank you.
Oh, never mind.
9 point what?
19.
All right, and we'll say inches. Are you okay with that now?
Yeah.
Okay. And my area, of course, is going to be what? 4.789, did you say? 85. And we'll call that what units? Inches squared. Okay, so now, obviously I'm not having time to go over the next unit, so we'll do 10-2 tomorrow. But listen, guys, I think I'm gonna be a little harsher, all right, with the homework. All right. So I will be collecting it tomorrow, looking over things a little bit more, scrutinizing your work a little bit better. Maybe that is part of the problem. All right, I don't check the homework like I should. All right, and some of you then just kind of say, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes, and then you're at the review, and then all of a sudden you haven't done your work, so now you don't know much. All right, if you do the homework, if you do the math, and you do it correctly, then what? Then you know how to do the test. All right, so don't take any shortcuts. All right, so with that in mind, I'm not expecting you to find all these. All right, I understand you got a life outside, plus there's other homework. All right, so let's take a look at this. All right, these are the ones I will be checking. All right, and that goes for perimeter and area. All right, so let's go with, make sure you highlight 11 for me. 13, 15, 17. 21, make sure that gets tackled. I like 24 and 26. I think that's pretty fair. All right, and I want it all done. I pretty much the odds on the second page, right? We did most of the first page. So, oh, I didn't do 9. Sorry, let's go back and do 9. We didn't do 9. So again, odds on the second page, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, and then pretty much 21 we didn't do, 24 and 26 we did not do. Those are the ones I want you to do. You with me on that? All right, guys, I mean it now. I'm going to scrutinize a little bit more. I'm expecting it to be done. All right. And tomorrow when you come in, if you want to double check something, you can say, look, I just want to make sure I'm right. I'll be happy to put a couple of these up there for you just to be sure before I collect it. All right. But please get to work now. Try to get a couple problems done. We still got 5 minutes. All right. The more you get done now, the less you'll have. All right. I'm pretty happy with that.